And Are You Okay is a not safe for work podcast, so any young listeners are discouraged from continuing. However, we literally have no way to track that, so do whatever the hell you want and enjoy the show.
Sir,
come right in, sit right down. Mikey's gonna show you the moon.
Ooh.
That's no moon. It's the Death Star. You're listening to Annie. Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
Tell him, Matt.
I like that. Can we do that song like every time?
Sure thing. Well, I mean, you're listening to Annie, Are You Okay? A Star Wars podcast. I am Mikey, your host, the human holocron.
Darth Plagueis the Wise. There it is.
You told me to do the voice, so I did the voice. And I'm here with my guy, the Rogue One, the Rogue Only, Matthew Porter.
Hey, it's your main of the Gray Hoodie Gang, a.k.a. Miss Windu, a.k.a. Broby-Wan Kenobi, a.k.a. Smack Talker Skywalker. Here are my guy, ready and willing, ready to serve. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Rex? Oh, Captain, your Captain Rex? Okay. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's enough references. We're here. We're there. We introduced ourselves, and you're listening to Annie, Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
A Star Wars podcast, where you come for your not safe for work takes on everything you love in a galaxy far, far away. And Matt, we got a pretty good one. You said last week, let's put a pin in that. And we put more than a pin in it. We decided to do a whole episode about Star Wars.
We stuck a whole episode in it.
We sure did. And before we hyper dive into that, a little bit of Star Wars news.
Right in.
There was, Diego Luna, I guess, at an award ceremony, because, it's award season, said that he confirmed Andor Season 2 wrapped filming. And, as I'm saying that, I am realizing right there that I think he said it on Instagram and not at an award show. I'm getting all my wires crossed. Either way, Andor Season 2 has wrapped filming. They're probably heavily in post-production, working on a badass Season 2 for us to enjoy more of that time right before Rogue One. So I'm very excited about that. Just want to get your quick thoughts on it, Matt, before we move on to the main subject of today.
For sure. I'm super excited because Star Wars sometimes be having a history of making us wait like a little bit too long for some of these shows where I'm like, hurry up. But I feel like it's been a healthy gap between Andor 1 and Andor 2, or maybe time's just flown by and it's like been longer than what I feel like. But I feel like it was the right amount of time for me to miss it so much, but not be like, damn, y'all really dragging your feet bringing us back here. What's going on? So I'm excited.
I think the writer's strike also pushed it probably like 6 months.
Oh, yeah. Very, very, very true.
But yeah, I definitely am ready to dive back into that story. I'm sure we will cover it episode by episode here. And, that's a perfect time to mention it. Hey, guess what? We will be covering The Bad Batch Season 2 in its entirety right here on Annie, Are You Okay? So please come back and listen to us.
Very soon.
Very soon, next week. I'm excited as hell. Already,
crazy.
The people who have press screeners have already seen the first 8 episodes, and they say it's the best yet. So that is quite exciting. Definitely some Star Wars content creators that I trust their opinion. If they're saying it's the best of the Bad Batch that we've gotten so far, I am definitely torqued.
That's nuts. A screener being 8 episodes, the whole damn season.
Yeah, it's half the season. So it's a lot.
Oh, 16 episodes?
15. So over
15.
half, I guess.
Exciting. Very exciting.
All right. Well, let's hyper dive right into the main topic.
I'm excited for
Star
this one.
Wars. I know. They are a part of it. It's in its DNA. It's like poetry. It rhymes, as George Lucas once famously said. Matt and I are going to discuss our favorite moments that pay homage to other moments throughout the storytelling of Star Wars. And, I got quite an extensive list here, and I know you do as well. So do you want to get this thing started?
Sir. I do. I'm trying to think of where I want to go because I'm one with a flair for the dramatics, so I want to crescendo into my better examples. Let me see. Where do I want to go? Okay, I got one. Because this is probably like my weakest one. It was one that is not is low hanging fruit, but boy, did it feel good. So my first callback is actually the trailer for Force Awakens, a specific part, not the whole trailer, which was amazing. I
know exactly
the part where Han and Chewie walk into the Millennium Falcon and the theme plays, but like the ding ding ding, like it's like bells. It's not like the full song, and he goes, "Chewie, we're home." And it was like, because it had been so long since we had got anything Star Wars of substance. Like, it's the first movie since, Revenge of the Sith, and then having Han Solo back, who we haven't seen since Return of the Jedi. Man, just hearing that Star Wars theme just like peppered so lightly, like bells on a breeze, in my ear, just made me feel good.
I know exactly which moment you're talking about. I actually kept myself from adding another moment from that same trailer. But I guess I'll mention it since you did. But Luke's speech about in that trailer is like, "I have it. My father has it. My sister has it,
and you have it." Yeah.
That's also a great callback from that trailer. But definitely a good one, and a good one to start us off on. I'm gonna kind of go in like a Star Wars timeline chronological order. That's how I did my list, just to keep myself organized. And I'm gonna keep it on a light note. This one is definitely not one we have to dive like super deep into, but it's a comedic callback. In Attack of the Clones, as Jango Fett is leaving and boarding the Slave One, he hits his head on the ramp, just like the trooper does in A New Hope, which was a mistaken shot that made its way into the film. Nice little callback.
I love that. That's hilarious, actually. That's funny that you picked one with Django, because I got one with Django too. Was there more that you wanted to go in there? That was just a fastball thrown in there. Did you want to dive in on that one?
Yeah, and like last week, we somehow find ourselves in this weird will he, won't we of our internets just giving us a hard time.
Bro, so, I don't know what it is, dog. About to reset the router after this, dog.
I might have to do the same thing. It could be me.
Bro, cause just now we're lined up, but in 10 seconds from now, sure it'll be like a half-second delay.
For sure.
We get through it though.
Anyways, hit me with
to stay in line with your Django reference, I have one. It is not a sentence. It is not a person. It is not a scene. Technically, it's a scene, but it's not a scene. It's a sound. The sonic charges of Jango Fett's ship from Attack of the Clones, making its return when Boba Fett was using it, and I believe it was Mandalorian when they had that space fight, and he used it just that. So
it is
good.
My favorite sound effect in all of Star Wars. It's even if you eagle-eyed or eagle-eared, I guess, listeners to the podcast will recognize it in the opening of Annie, Are You Okay? But yeah, when he launches that ship in The Mandalorian, and then it happens again in the Book of Boba Fett when he drops it in the Sarlacc pit. But I do love the seismic charge. Yeah, big fan of that.
So good.
So I have
After you said
3 Clone Wars callbacks, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to hit them in succession because it's not. 2 of them are moments, and one of them is just a line. So there's an arc in the Clone Wars where they're on a slaver planet, and It's very similar to the Return of the Jedi opening where Luke gets pushed off the thing, and Anakin gives R2 the nod to shoot his lightsaber into the air to catch it. So it's that wink and the nod to R2. I was a big fan of that. I was like, oh, they did the thing. And then another moment. Yeah. Another moment in the Clone Wars. This is from the Siege of Mandalore. At the very beginning, Anakin stares down the Separatist army, and then is shot for shot a callback to. This had come out post The Last Jedi. It is very similar to Luke staring down the First Order. When he's force projecting on Crate.
Was it the bridge scene? The Anakin on the bridge?
Yep.
With all the droids?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's great scene.
And then my final Clone Wars callback, but this is a great one, is the Darkness on Umbara arc. There's a moment where the clones are trying to figure out how to fly the Umbaran ships, and General Pong Krell is on the intercom trying to get to the bottom of why there's explosions happening on the military base, and Fives shoots the console and says, boring conversation anyways. Just like Han does in A New Hope. So that was a fun one.
Yeah, Han does in New Hope with the blast and the Stormtrooper outfit. I love all of those. Those are all amazing. And like I said before we had hit record, when I was making my list, I wanted to make mine a bit of a shepherd's pie, a bit of a dog soup of different things. But when I was struggling to think of, because I would think of the moments that I would like from like Rebels or Star Wars, but I couldn't think of the episode, and boy was I not about to try to dig for that. So I was like, I'm gonna play it safe and pick a lot of movie references. I was like, because I know Mikey will get some shit from the shows. I was like, I know it in my heart of hearts. You know. So where do I want to go here? Okay, I will, because we've done a lot of the prequel, sequel, Clone War era Skywalker stuff. So I'll go with one of the sequel trilogies, which is actually a callback within a callback. And I'm referring to the scene between Kylo Ren, Kylo/Ben, and Han, where he gives him I know what I must do, but I do not know if I have the strength to do it. How he does it in The Force Awakens, where he kills him, and then he does it again in Rise of the Skywalker, where he gets the strength to actually toss away his fucked up crossblade lightsaber. So it was a callback within the same trilogy, but I loved both of those scenes because sheer shock when he killed Han in Force Awakens when that happened. It was like it's one of the most, because of how shocking it was and like how it was done, and like when he took the helmet off and that shit hit the ground hard, you Goku weighted helmet shit that he dropped. That's probably like it's high key probably my favorite death in Star Wars. Like all of it, like everything, all encompassing. It's probably my favorite death.
You know what else I love about that scene is the callback to itself, but also the callback to I don't want to call it infamous. It's one of the greatest lines in Star Wars where Princess Leia says, "I love you," and Han says, "I know." And
I know.
Ben can't bring himself to say "I love you," so he's just
like, "Dad," and he's like, "I know."
Han responds, "I know." Yeah. That's a fucking all-timer callback. I love it.
Big facts.
Fantastic.
Big
that was a
facts.
heavy hitter you brought to the table there, man.
Look, I told you crescendo, baby.
So I have one more from the prequel era.
Okay.
It's a twofer from Revenge of the Sith, but a lot of people don't realize that this is where the fun begins is actually a line that Han says in A New Hope, because I think everyone just assumes that it's Anakin who has said it. But yeah, that's a great callback. And then Obi-Wan referencing himself, "Hello there," in Revenge of the Sith, a callback to Alec Guinness saying "Hello there" in A New Hope. Definitely made things come full circle a little bit.
Hell yeah.
A lot more "hello there's" are used throughout, including in the Clone Wars and in Kenobi towards the end of the series. But definitely one that I could not help myself from adding to the list.
Okay, so you know what I'll do? I'll match your double dose of prequel callbacks with my own double dose of prequel callbacks, and they will both be from the same movie, actually. So I'm going Attack of the Clones. I'm gonna go the easy callback, but it was a super, I won't say blink and you'll miss it scene, but long blink, maybe rub your eyes and you'll miss it scene. But when they show the blueprints for the Death Star in Attack of the Clones, when they bring the disc to Dooku and he like checks it, makes sure, and closes it real quick. I remember being in the theater when that popped up and everybody was just like gasp at the oh shit, it's the Death Star. I just remember for that to be such a not a grandiose scene, it was very big. Like it was one of the a holy shit moment before it was like a holy shit moment in the theater. Like the shock of that was like, oh, that's crazy, these are connected, like type time. And then second one, I got a little cheeky because it's technically not a callback. Technically, it's a prediction, but because the prequels came out after the original trilogies, it's technically a callback. But the scene where Obi and Anakin are in the speeder, and he's just like, "Why do I get the feeling that you're going to be the death of me?"
I do love that. To go back to your Death Star.
Those are my two.
I really like the lore I love the lore implications around the Geonosians being the ones that came up with the idea for the Death Star and like have like the blueprints ready for the Separatists to use, but it ends up becoming the Empire's weapon. And then it's the storyline of the Death Star's construction all the way through Rebels and up to Rogue One. It's a great like beat in across the timeline, because like the Geonosians actually almost get they do get eradicated. Their like population gets brought down to like 1. And all that's left is a queen egg as far as we know, and I think in some Star Wars comics that same queen ends up getting killed by Darth Vader, so I'm pretty sure the Geonosian population is just non-existent on the planet. So the Death Star, even the construction of it killed an entire world without like actually having to be fired. So that's a really fun one. Well, maybe fun's the wrong word.
That was deep. How many more do you got?
I have 4 more.
I got 3 more. All right, cool. So we kind of lined up perfectly. It's your turn, actually.
Okay. So in Solo, when Han is escaping in the beginning with a speeder, and he says, "Watch this," and he goes to like turn down the corridor, and he does that like maneuver with the speeder, and he doesn't actually get to the end of it. Very, I think it's similar. He says, "Watch this," before he's about to do something in the Falcon in Empire Strikes Back, and like the hyperdrive fails or something. So it was just like that was a fun nod back to Empire Strikes Back and a good Han Solo moment.
I love that one. It's funny because you actually picked one that is, I would kind of say maybe the sibling callback to one of mine. So you had mentioned "This is where the fun begins" is a line that, you know, Hayden Christensen has become synonymous for Anakin Skywalker, but really was like an homage to Han Solo. Mm-hmm. I have a line that's usually saddled to a particular character, but it was actually said by different characters in its own trilogy as well as other trilogies. So the line that I have in question is typically credited to Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars. I'm sorry, in Revenge of the Sith, where he says at the beginning of the movie, "I have a bad feeling about this." And Anakin actually says that line in Clone Wars when they're in Geonosis and they're like strung up and everything. And I believe, I don't remember if it was Alec Guinness or Harrison Ford, but someone said it in the Millennium Falcon when they got caught in the Death Star's tractor beam. It was like, "That's no moon." Someone said, "I have a bad feeling."
This is the ultimate callback. So they do it in each movie. It's
really?
It's the first line spoken in The Phantom Menace by Obi-Wan. He says, "I have a bad feeling."
Oh yeah. When they're in the meeting, or what they think is about to be meeting.
In Attack of the Clones, Anakin says it in the Geonosian arena, like you said. Obi-Wan says it on the flight into Grievous.
Grievous's. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In A New Hope, it's I think Luke or Han that says it when they're in the Death Star tractor beam. Leia says it in Empire Strikes Back when they're about to go into the asteroid field.
Yes.
in Return of the Jedi, I think someone says it on the like skiff off Jabba's palace, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, I wouldn't. That sounds like a Lando line. I wouldn't be surprised if Lando said it.
It might have been Lando. I'm trying to think. There's someone,
I can hear him saying it in my head.
In The Force Awakens, I'm blanking on who says it, but I know in The Last Jedi, I remember it's BB-8 who beeps it in the opening sequence.
I love that. I love that. Hey, I didn't even know that was the ultimate callback. Let's go.
Yeah, so you're just hitting all of them. And honestly, I'm a little upset at myself for not remembering the Return of the Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker one. I definitely have not watched that movie enough to commit that particular I have a bad feeling about this to memory.
Who you telling?
Well, I tried.
So what you got? I know it's in there somewhere. It's in the data file somewhere.
Yeah. That's okay. I said last week.
Lost the planet, Master Kenobi has done.
Yeah, I have to make a redaction. Last week you had made a mention of the Emperor's theme being reversed for the celebration in episode 1. And it is his theme. I said it was the Imperial March, and when you said the Imperial March,
I know. I'll let you be great.
I cringed at myself listening back to it. So if anyone wonders if I ever get mad at myself for getting something wrong, all the time. But I'm gonna hit you with a Rebels callback. This one is Rebels to Rebels, actually. So in the first season of Rebels, Kanan says to the Grand Inquisitor, "You're smart, figure it out." And in season 2 of Rebels, Ezra says it to Darth Vader right before he gets his teeth kicked in, essentially, because Darth Vader like breaks his lightsaber very soon after that. So that's a fun callback. Like master, like apprentice.
Love that. I mean, I guess Vader figured it out.
Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, look, bro, we be in sync by accident, so I guess it only makes sense for me to do my second to last one, like master, like apprentice. I have to go to a Star Wars OG, our guy Sheev Palpatine and his "Do It," where he redoes it in the Rise of Skywalker as his very iconic delivery of the line in Revenge of the Sith. Before Dooku's head gets lopped off, the "Do It" I put as my second to last callback.
I'm shocked that you didn't pick the "some consider to be unnatural."
I had it, but I was like, I don't want to give Sheev 2, so I went with "Do It."
I'll do it.
But I literally had it on my list.
So this is my second to last one. But in The Last Jedi, before Luke stops his force projection to Kylo, he says, "See you around, kid," which is what Han says to him in A New Hope. So it was definitely one of those,
a great
like,
one.
I'm going to stab you and twist the knife a little bit by making a reference that your father would have made. So I do really like that line in The Last Jedi. That whole sequence is maybe one of my...
It's the best part of the movie.
The sequel trilogy, yeah.
Best part of the movie for sure. All right, so I got one more, and then we'll let you close this bad boy out. So I wanted to go out on a bang, and this actually I think this was actually the last thing that made my list. So it was one of those, how could I forget about that? So I wasn't there, when the original Star Wars came out. I wasn't even conceived, wasn't even close to conception at the time when that movie came out. But I would like to imagine that, back when the movie came out, when it was in the theaters, a lot of people didn't know what it was. They had seen, Dune, the movie wasn't a thing yet. But, people, like, we had ideas of what we thought sci-fi movies might be. But then Star Wars came out, and it was like, what the fuck am I watching? This is amazing. I like to imagine that the scene that really had people locked in, like, damn, you know what? I think they got one with this, is at the beginning of the movie where a young rapscallion Luke Skywalker is looking out into the double sun sunset, and that lovely Luke Skywalker theme plays, and that imagery of him posted up on that rock looking out into the stars has been reused time and time again on Star Wars with that same Force theme that plays. And that song may be my favorite piece of musical creation of anything for any property that has ever come out. That Force theme gets me in my feels every single time. Every time I hear it, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time.
The crescendo is real. I felt it. It was live. I felt it.
Let's go. Tusken Raider celebration.
Mine is actually, I put this in on purpose to be kind of a joke, but it's the one that started the conversation to begin with. The Ben Solo shrug from the Rise of Skywalker. Not nearly as exciting as
there you go.
Callback. But I feel like we had to bring it up just because it was the thing that sparked the whole conversation to begin with. That was great. Hit me up with your favorite callbacks, listeners. I want to hear. We'll mention on the pod. This is the general call out for more Ask Me Annie things. We'll be opening that back.
Hey man, we don't bite. Come talk to us. You can
literally ask us anything. Like, ask me if I've ever pooped myself before. Maybe there's a funny story behind it. Maybe there's not. But who knows? You have to ask for me to answer.
The world may never know. You gotta ask, baby.
Exactly. And Matt's gonna have to answer them too. So make them extra embarrassing questions if you have to.
Look, man, I have no shame, Animaniacs. Zero shame here, baby.
That's actually
ask me anything
requirement for this job. It's a requirement to have.
I feel that. I love it that I met the prerequisites.
We definitely wanted to talk about callbacks today, but there was an interesting interview that you brought to my attention recently. Credit to Josh Horowitz, who interviewed Daisy Ridley. But her views on the Rise of Skywalker haven't changed since the films have wrapped. Outside of not thinking she would get a chance to revisit the character, obviously she is getting the chance to revisit the character. But just wanted to kind of discuss
retribution for Rey.
Yeah, what she was saying about her final moments, and that she really felt that the Rise of Skywalker had, even despite people not being, I feel like the fan base is a little bit divided on kissing Kylo Ren or Ben Solo, I guess, at that point in time. And it's
her cousin
was very she thought it was very emotional and warranted from her perspective, but she did kind of admit in the interview that it may have been a culmination of the fact that all of these things were coming to a close in her personal time with it. So I think that was fair of her to say, and I think maybe we will feel differently about it the more context we get around their relationship as things are added to Star Wars. But I know that you feel very strongly about this, that you're not crazy about that idea. I know Rey the Ruiner has been very strongly worded about not being with it. I get it, kind of. I don't think it's as impactful as it could be, but it is kind of one of those things where it's like, she cared for him, and maybe it's not so much as super strong, I'm in love with you, but a love for Ben and a thanks for your sacrifice type thing could be interpreted that way. Do you feel like your interpretation of it's going to change over time, or do you think that Daisy's kind of justified in her comments here about how she feels about the wrapping of it?
So if there were ever to be a half explanation that I would say, man, fuck that, but all right, it would be hers. It'd be exactly what she say, her saying, because I do take with actual value her saying for her, Daisy, the actress portraying Rey, and her living with that character for such a long time, for her, she doesn't necessarily feel like it was a romantic kiss. For her, it was more of a goodbye, I'm sending you off into the forest type situation, which that's a weird place to kiss someone, to send them off. It could have been a forehead kiss or just a deep embrace until he wilted away or whatnot, what have you. But like I said, I don't, what she says doesn't change my opinion of it. I feel like the kiss was super unearned. It's not even the players. It's not even that it was Ben and Ray that kissed. It just was unearned. Like, you know, they had like that one shirt off scene with a bit of angsty teen awkwardness. I wouldn't even go as far as to call that sexual tension. Like, it was just like, yo,
they touched hands in the hut.
Yeah, when you touch hands in the hut, you know it's different. You know, no one out pizzas the hut. But yeah,
not
but
even
like
Jabba.
not even Jabba. But I do. You know what was funny? It's like she said what she said about, you know, her feelings was like, I don't necessarily think it had to have been a romantic kiss. Could have been totally platonic, just people who went on the journey kissing each other goodbye. But then when she follows that up by saying we had a version with no kiss and they just decided not to use it, I was enraged all over again. You had what I perceived to be the better option and you didn't use it. It's one thing if they never shot of that version. It's like, oh, we only got the kiss to use. But no, y'all did a no kiss. That lets me believe that you feel like that was weird. The fact that you was like, hey, let's try it without the kiss. Somebody felt like this was weird. And their voice was silenced. Justice is Kissgate. Hashtag Kissgate.
I can't bring myself to give Daisy Ridley a hard time after everything she's been through with the fan base at present. But I think you're still justified in that feeling, and you know, having personally feel like it's not earned, and I think that maybe our feelings will change over time. But so it was definitely an interesting interview with Daisy Ridley, so I definitely recommend go check out. I don't know if Josh Horowitz has a specific name for his show, but he is a great interviewer. I've definitely seen him interview a few other actors, and he always has a good pulse on the Star Wars actors. He did a great interview with John Boyega post Rise of Skywalker as well, so definitely go check him out. I think that's all we have for the Animaniacs this week, Matt, so I'm gonna go tell them where they can find us, as well as tease an upcoming episode of Dragon Ball for Life, where you guys interviewed me, of all people. So if you want to go learn more about me, I guess, you can go check out my interview with Matt and Trav over on Dragon Ball for Life. That is DB4L Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and on Facebook it is Dragon Ball the number 4 Life on Facebook. You can also find us at Annie, Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
Oh, there's a massive lag there. But at Annie, Are You Okay? The letters A and I, Are You Okay? Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And we will be talking
we'll fix it in post.
We'll always fix it in post. We'll be talking all things Star Wars here, and this is another reminder that we will be covering The Bad Batch Season 3 in its entirety here at Annie, Are You Okay? Matt, go ahead and close this bad boy out.
All right, as best I can with this lag, I'm going to get through it. But real quick, because as we continue to tease your Dragon Call interview, which I'm super excited for the fans, the lifers, and the Animaniacs to hear alike, we actually forgot to tease something in that episode, and I guess we could put it here and, you know, make people listen to both. But y'all know the DB4L family and the Annie, Are You Okay? family. We are all one big happy family, and we are going to make it a point to merge more often with a working family name of DB Are You Okay? You know, nothing set in stone. It's just a little you know, little name placeholder that I feel like it might stick. But you know, me, Mikey, and Trav and the DB4L fam have, you know, talked a lot behind the scenes that, you know, Dragon Ball for Life is obviously Dragon Ball centered, and Annie, Are You Okay? Is obviously Star Wars centered, but we all collectively are super into a lot of other nerddoms, and some of our passion for those other nerddoms rival the source material that we're covering on each podcast respectively. So we didn't want to affect the tone for the listeners who might prefer Dragon Ball or Star Wars specifically, so we will be uniting more often to do DB Are You Okay? episodes where we'll talk about other nerd things. other anime properties that are on Dragon Ball, other, geek-centric fiction things that isn't Star Wars, and everything in the middle. So just be on the lookout for those little, they'll probably be like short form, more, themed episodes. Might, do some things off the cuff, might bring in some friends of the podcast from past and present to join. But DBRU OK episodes, collabo episodes will come in, and they will actually be dropped on both podcasts simultaneously. So you can go ahead and listen to it on Dragon Ball for Life. You can go ahead and listen to these episodes on Are You Okay? You could be super fans and just hit play on both at the same time, so we can get them streaming numbers up. Exactly. We prefer that you just, hit play on both, and it don't matter which one you mute. Just let them run at the same time so we can all get the streams and, sharing the success. But Animaniacs, thank you for allowing me to stand on my soapbox just so we can announce the things that we want to do for you guys through 2024. And you guessed it. It could be callbacks from the sequel. It could be callbacks from the prequels. It could be callbacks from Rebels. It could be callbacks from Resistance. Probably won't be callbacks from Resistance. It could be Daisy Ridley's interview about, you guessed it, Rey. Life can be a beach, but as long as there's no sand, Annie gonna be okay.
Be okay. May the force be with you.
And with you. Later, nerds.
Deuces.